Welcome back to this Modifying Doom 3 Editor series. In this two-part episode, Part 1 will look at how to build static ladders and railings. In Part 2, we'll look at how to construct a simple script in order to create a moving secret ladder sequence. Please take a moment to subscribe to our channel or feel free to like, dislike, or comment on this video. Clicking the notification button will alert you when we post new content. Or drop by the channel, Tom's World, for a complete list of all our videos. So stay tuned as we jump into the D3 Editor. Okay, so here we are in our handy dandy M1 map. A little cabinet that we just can't resist. And first thing we're going to start off by drawing out a brush. We want to do an elevation here, or a second floor. I'm going to head over to my caulk brush and I'm going to draw a texture friendly brush. 512 256 by 128. Okay, there it is. Nice. We're going to grab some surfaces of that brush. Shift Control left mouse button and grab that surface as well. Then we're going to middle mouse click on a texture that we want to put on there, like so. And that's done. And we'll come up here. Whoops. Come up here. Grab this texture as well. And apply that. And there we go. Because we draw our brush carefully, our floor fits nice. All the textures fit great. Done. So there's a lot of different ways we can get the player up here. We can do a funk platform. We could draw some stairs, make some stairs. We could do an elevator here. We could even draw a little ramp. It's kind of cheesy, but, well, I'll show you real quick. And let's draw a little ramp. Oops. We'll do this real quick. I'm not going to show clipping brushes, but we could do it real quick. So select this guy, go X, left mouse, enter, unhide everything, and then we got a little ramp. It's kind of cheesy, but, well, here, we'll grab this, and we just can't resist making it look pretty, can we? There we go. Kind of cheesy. How we're going to get the player up there, though, is ladders, as promised. And there's sort of two sides to ladders, and actually the advantage of a ladder is the fact that it takes up so little space. You can see the ramp and elevators and everything else. Now there's sort of two sides to ladders. The first thing that we have to lay down is we use this magic texture. If we go into our media folders, textures, into our favorite common folder, we got this magical little texture called, where is it? Ladder. And if we kind of just put that in the map, real quick here. I find a good width for ladders is 22. So let's make that brush 22 wide. There we go. And it just has to be maybe, I don't know, 8 thick, 6 thick. There we go. Now this magical texture gives us the mechanical side of ladders. Basically it'll give us the up-down motion of a ladder. It also creates kind of a boot clanging on metal kind of look. So if we compile and save that map and we go into it real quick, map M1, we don't see that ladder texture, right? But if we hit it, gives us the mechanical side of the ladder, the up-down motion and that sort of foot clanging on metal. All right, and it's interesting to note too that, go back into the editor, that on top of this ladder, on this surface here, this the player can actually stand on that. So just remember that. It kind of gives you that nice motion. Okay, now we have to actually put a ladder in, and to my knowledge, there are no ladder models in Doom 3. Maybe somewhere in some obscure folder, maybe there is, but I don't see one. And that makes sense because obviously you want the flexibility of making those ladders as tall or short as you want. So we're just going to grab that ladder texture and hide everything else. Now, you're going to have to watch the How to Make Pipes video. It's a couple of videos prior, and it gets into really detail about how to create pipes, but also lends itself those fundamentals to creating ladders as well as railings and things of this nature. So we're going to go through it fairly quickly. So I'm just going to grab my caulk brush, and I'm going to draw a brush 94 high, 94 high, 2, 4, and we're going to go 8 by 8. So just go top view, and we'll go 8 by 8. 8 by 8. There we go. Okay, a nice square brush, and we're going to turn that into a patch mesh cylinder. If we go top view, we're going to go to our surface inspector, And we're going to subdivide that patch. And we're going to take this horizontal subdivision down to 1. And basically what we want is just a square brush, but it's a patch mesh, right? Okay, so that's done. Okay, now is that a good height for that? I want 94, right? Yes, 94. Okay, good. And finally, we're going to resize that brush, that patch mesh, sorry, to 2 by 2. And that makes a good railing size and a good size for ladders. Okay, there it is. Now, for my purposes, just the way I'm going to design this ladder and how it's going to attach to that wall, I'm going to need some 90-degree bendies here. So I'm going to clone this brush, and I'm going to take it down to 4. Height of 4. There we go. And I still got my 2 by 2, yeah, by 4. Okay, good. And I want to get the side view. So that's going to be our bending part. And we're going to clone that, and we're going to just move that 90 degrees. Never get this right. Okay, so Z isn't doing it. Y, there we go, Y. And I'm just going to draw out a reference brush. You know why I like to do this. 4 by 4. I'm going to put that right there. I'm going to grab this piece and put it there. Let's get rid of that reference brush. Good. Okay, and then we're going to bend this guy. So let's just zoom in a little bit here. Whoops. And we're going to go to our vectors. And another thing I forgot to mention is don't forget that there's actually 2 points here. And in order to grab them both, you can just left click and drag, and then it sort of draws a box around it, and it should grab both of those vectors. So once they're selected, they're blue, and we just move them up here. Deselect, grab this one, those 2, sorry, put that there. Grab these 2, put that there. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide that patch a little bit more. It just helps me get a nice sort of smooth surface. And I'm going to take that up to 5. There we are. Okay, we can get rid of this. All right, and I'm going to go to a smaller grid size here. Let's start off by 5. I'm going to grab these 2, and you're going to have to play with this. Grab more than 1 there. Okay, grab these 2, and let's bring this down to there. Not quite. And this is where we're going to have to mess with it. I'm going to play with it for a little while. If I can't get it right, I'll just jump ahead, but I think something like that I think is good. I'm even going to go to a smaller grid size, I think, here. 125. Ooh, okay. Now, the surface here, probably something like, oh, that looks good there. Let's grab that middle vertex. This does take a little bit of time to get this looking just right. Well, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so we'll leave that there. Let's get all these pieces aligned. I don't think they're aligned. Or are they? Did I get lucky? Maybe they're all aligned. Let's see. Oh, they are all aligned. Nice. Ha, never got that through the run through. Okay, nice. So they're all aligned. Now I want to grab this, and I want to clone that, and I want to flip this. This is a little tricky here, guys. Okay, good. And then I think X. Whoops. X. Okay, and then we want to go again. There we go. Nice. Okay, we're going to bring this up here. And all I'm creating here is kind of like a bar that's going to be connected to the wall, right? Okay, we kind of see that. That's not aligned. There we go. Done. Okay, so let's grab all that little railing part we just built. Oops. There we go. And let's get it orientated on the ladder texture. I think that'll be good there. All right, so I'm going to texture this little sort of, I don't know what it is. It's base trim. It kind of looks like a construction hazard kind of texture. So we're going to go with that. Whoops, we should grab all that. Okay, there we go. Let's texture it. Let's hit S. And we're going to go natural. That's just so that texture looks nice. It's so thin, it's kind of hard to see in the render window, but if I go like that, you can kind of see it. Okay. Select all of it. Let's get it into position. There we go. And there. Okay, good. And then all we have to do now is just do some cross members. So we'll clone that. Let's move that. Oops. I can never get this right, guys. One of these days I'm going to figure it out. And we're going to come down here. Whoops. and we're going to create the rungs. So I'm going to just go ahead and build this ladder up a little bit. I'll get into the dimensions when I come back. And also I kind of use this concept to do some railings up here as well. And then let me just do that right now. It's going to take a little while and I'll come back and I'll show you what it's going to look like. Okay, stand by. Alright, so I did a little bit of work off screen and I got my ladder positioned properly. I used some of the pieces that I have for my ladder to build up some railings, and we can kind of see that. But actually, let's just go into the game here and have a look at that. Okay, so map M1. And we can see that the ladder's positioned nicely with the little bends, and looks like it's attached to the wall. I didn't put flanges there, and I'll explain why in a minute. But there we can see the ladder's built up nicely. We have this railing, and it's all constructed using pieces of my ladder. Why can't I go through here? There we go. Let's make sure that that's not glitching on us. And we climb up here, and it goes through. Yes, nice. And the railings, you can see we use our little flanges, which we talked about in our pipe video. But just using bendies and little bits of the ladder. See, there's a 90 there and a 90 there. Just retexturing it was something I found lying around with the flanges. That's nice. The railing's only, 34-inch high. It might be a little bit too low because the player can jump across it, but you can always put clips or just raise them a little bit. But let's just jump back into the editor and just talk about a couple little things. When I constructed the ladder, let's grab it all. When I constructed the ladder, I'm just selecting all the ladder pieces here so we could look at them isolated. There we go. Selection, select inside. Let's hide everything else. So when we got the ladder, what's really important is that the ladder texture extends beyond the patch meshes. Like if we look here, we can see it extends beyond. If we do this, and look at an XYZ window, if that physical brush is in the way of that ladder texture, it's not going to work for the player. So you have to make sure that that's extended beyond that surface, just so the player can touch it. So that's one really important thing. Now, when constructing the ladder, what I did just to help myself, I like using reference brushes. I usually just go a cock texture, and what I find is, again, the width of 22 is good, and 14 high between the rungs seems pretty natural. So when I'm building this ladder and I've got these pieces and all I'm doing is cloning. So for example, if I didn't have that middle rung there, let's say, and delete that, whoops. Let's say we grab that middle rung there and delete it, and we're building our ladder. So we could just grab this rung, hit space for clone, and then bring it up, and using our reference brush we can go 14. It's really easy to repeat it. That's what I do anyways. Maybe there's different ways that people work, but that brush fits perfectly inside there. That way I can get a nice symmetrical, naturally looking ladder. So that's that. And one other important thing too is that the distance between these two railings here, if you just look up in the render window, that has to be 40 across. That's I found the minimum that the player can fit through. So make sure that little hole there between those railings is at least 40 wide so the player can fit through there. So a couple little handy things. So that's done there, and now what we want to do is we want to look at how to get this ladder moving using a script. So we're going to go look at that right now. That will conclude this part 1 of our Modifying Doom 3 Editor Series Ladder episode. If you're watching through our playlist, stay tuned for episode 2, which will play shortly. Otherwise, click on the Ladders episode part 2 video, where we'll create a secret ladder reveal using a simple script. Thank you for watching.